Hello and welcome to Grumpy Gamers. You're with me, Pete, and along with me today I've got Ben.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about everything that's wrong with the Quarry.
All the things that are wrong.
So many no. Well, it's not so many things, but major important points. Which, we'll dive into, but just to give you a quick summary, we're going to talk about some pacing, some characters, all the characters, and player involvement as the main things.
Yeah, they are the main things. I mean, we've just come off playing this on stream, and you can catch out the rest of our somewhere on our YouTube channel. I think there's three episodes there. So I don't know. You watched me play it, didn't you, Pete?
Most of the time I watched. If we start with pacing, I will admit that not all of it, because do we want to do flashbacks to begin? Or?
Oh no! Don't start with that for God's sake. The pacing of this game is. Thing is, these are the same guys that made Until Dawn. They're the best in the business at making these type of movie character choice type games. This one, though, for me, it starts off really, really well, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Like the atmosphere that's built up is fantastic.
It is.
But then the next couple of hours, when it's doing this character development bit,
and there doesn't seem to be any priority to what they're actually experiencing. It's purely for giving you a sense of them as characters, but they're not reacting to anything except each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it did a great job at. I know what it was trying to do, and it was trying to frame those characters and let you see them in particular lights as you go through. Maybe even, heaven forbid, trying to make you like these characters. But my God, those 2 hours, and I did notice it more because I was streaming it. But Jesus, you're looking at 2 hours from... Remember, this game is only about 6.5 hours long. But 2 of those hours are boring. I'd say they're boring.
This was what I meant. And the biggest example of this for me was the flashback.
Oh,
There's
God.
one particular flashback. And my God, I stopped watching partway. I wandered off. I made a coffee. I came back. And bear in mind, that takes me 10 minutes because I brew it. And you were still in the same flashback with barely any progress.
The issue with that particular scene, for me... was that it's a flashback, so you know the person regaling the story survives.
Yeah, there's no risk.
So there is no risk to that, and I know there's more to it. There is more to it. There's other characters involved, etc. But it just doesn't have the same punch that the other stuff does. And really, it's the latter part of the game which is interesting and well paced, and it's the first part when it's building atmosphere. Apart from that, it's pretty poor.
Agreed. Very much agreed. The end is worth it. But it doesn't feel like that when you're going through it.
No, it doesn't. But part of that problem is it's the characters, because the way that the pacing is set, it slows it down so that you can get to know these characters, so that you get to know what their motivations are. But I ended up kind of choosing a character to get behind that I wanted to save, because I thought they're pretty much the coolest character around. But the other ones, I didn't care. So hard to care.
It was very hard to care, and particularly with everyone but Caitlin, for me. Caitlin, at least for the first 2/3 of the game, is the most interesting.
I thought so, yeah. Dylan came into it
strong towards the end. And I could understand that. But other than that, everyone there, I was more interested in watching them die than in seeing them survive.
Yeah, exactly. And our stream quickly moved from trying to keep these people alive to more, let's just play out the story and see what happens.
Exactly.
And if they die, they die. So, yeah, I didn't particularly care about any of them, really. And then when I did care about Dylan and Caitlin, well, they bit the dust. So
very quickly.
Not great. But I think the main problem that I have with this game over their previous games, and I have played, I think all of them actually, and I actually quite liked House of Ashes, the last one. I thought the involvement with that was very good. This one has far less user kind of interaction. It is more movie-like than any of the other ones. Now, don't get me wrong, graphically, it's superb. The character models, for the most part, are superb.
Yeah.
And I did really like the acting.
Yeah. One note on the terrifying mouths that some of them have.
Yeah, some of them.
The models are fantastic, but when they speak, my God, it's like aliens.
Yeah, sometimes those characters, oh boy, they did not look good.
But I do think you highlight the key thing for someone like me who doesn't play these games as much, but is interested to see someone else playing them. That's generally how I consume this content.
Yeah. And
this one, I barely even knew you were playing, except for when something went wrong.
I tell you
There were
what,
so few choices.
what got it for me, Pete, was that I was trying to end the second stream. And I was like, okay, we're going to wrap this one up. We'll just find a nice point where I can, stop, press save while I'm controlling the character. It was 10 to 15 minutes before I was back in control. And that's not how I remember House of Ashes or Until Dawn or any of the other ones, Man of Dan. It's just not how I remembered them. And for me, that was a little disappointing. You've got the story, you got all this stuff, but if you're controlling the character just that little bit more, and it's not just quick time events of up, down, left, or right, there's a bit more to it. I don't know. It felt like there was not a lot going on. There's parts in the game where you have to hold your breath, which is very good. A very good tool, underutilized, because the first 3 or so times you do it, I don't really think you can get it wrong. I won't spoil anything, but it does get a little bit more. You have to pay attention a little bit more, but for the most part, it's not that involved. So that was disappointing, and then we've got to move on to.
We do, and this is the thing, because all 3 of these major elements that we think are failings, would be much, much more palatable if it wasn't £55 on Steam and around 50 elsewhere.
Absolutely.
For a 6-hour game.
Absolutely. Now, I seem to remember I picked up House of Ashes for under £25. I know I got it through Instant Gaming or something like that, but I got it. I got it digitally. I think for under £25. That is the price range which I put these games in. That seems acceptable. There's a lot that goes into these games, admittedly. It's a good ride usually. I was streaming it, so I think that was part of the problem, because I was very conscious of the pacing and things like that.
Yeah.
But £50.
It's madness. Like, yes, they are beautiful. We make these comments. They've got amazing character models and they must be a lot of work. But £10 an hour or near enough? Come on.
I mean, I'm hard-pressed to think of another hobby or activity which £10 an hour is kind of acceptable. I know, this is a 6.5-hour game, so it's just less than £10, but come on. It's not where we're at. So, overall, I think I gave my impressions on the stream. We've also got a podcast, which we talked about it. This is it's not a game I can recommend at that price. It's a decent knock, but it's nothing. No great game in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not a must-have.
Absolutely not.
Pick it up on a good sale. Until then, you can wait.
See, and compare that to Until Dawn, which for me was one of the best games on the PS4. This is not in the same league, in my opinion. But
very much agreed. Well, that's our thoughts on the Quarry and everything that's wrong with it at this stage. We may well find more, but for now, it's GG.
GG.